Hi, everyone. So before we begin, I'd like to give a little introduction about the assembly and about our wonderful speaker today. So we are the Smart Lab and Makerspace based out in 5 Tech. And we have a mission of building a collaborative tech community in Dubai. And this is a mission that we've had for the past 8 years. So since being founded in 2014, we've had over 315 free workshops that are open to the community. And they've been always on a variety of different topics. So we have 3 main categories. The first one is app, and that includes embedded systems, IoT, use of hardware devices like Raspberry Pi or Arduinos, which we provide for them. We actually have one coming up next week on the Arduino. Then we also have code workshops, which are mainly focused on software. We work with APIs, frameworks, apps. And for these workshops, you would just need to bring your laptops because we work in it together. And then finally, we also have data science workshops that focus on topics like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. Overall, our topics cover IoT, robotics, 3D printing, AR, VR, cloud computing, and more. Our audience members are students, they are professionals, they are entrepreneurs. Everyone is welcome to come in. We want to make sure that you learn something new, build something new, or even just expand on your already existing knowledge. Now, if you want to hear more about us, please follow us on our social media platforms at Make Smart Things. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can also check out our online workshops on YouTube and visit our website, theassembly.ae. So our guest speaker today is Sam Keillor, who is a HubSpot consultant and senior business development manager at Nexa. Sam has been working with HubSpot for over 8 years, and he's highly experienced in strategic development and implementation of your customer lifecycle to align with your sales, marketing, and customer service team goals. Sam works closely with new businesses introduced and onboarding with Nexa. With his experience in the industry, clients benefit from aligning their growth strategies and digital marketing execution with Sam to ensure that they're benefiting from a fully integrated approach. Now, without further ado, please welcome Sam.
Hey guys. Okay, so today's session is going to be a bit of a combination. I've got a few slides that kind of just set the tone for where HubSpot comes into the market, and then I'm going to give you a live demo of the actual platform from my personal account. I use it day in, day out. So just to kind of add on that a little bit of background. So yeah, I've been working on HubSpot for about 8 years. The agency that I work for, Nexa, we've been kind of working with HubSpot since it launched. HubSpot is obviously an international name. It came from the States, and like their closest base to Dubai is actually in Ireland. So when they're talking about regional coverage here, they use a lot of different partnerships and agencies to support them. And we were kind of the first one to really bring the platform to the region. So we kind of been driving it for a long time. And the businesses that are using HubSpot today are very, very vast. I quite regularly go through, B2B kind of sales funnels. I go through B2C, I do e-commerce, whatever the kind of business type is, it can be adapted. I mean, HubSpot is an out-of-the-box tool. It is kind of, sign up for it straight away, go on the web, get it, and you've got access into it. But it's how you modify that and customize it to your specific use case. So the kind of reason HubSpot came about, it started as a marketing technology. That's really what it started as. And they were trying to help businesses generate new opportunities, generate leads. And then over time, HubSpot as itself, and what they're identifying in kind of the world of business, where there's a lot of friction that happens either internally or between you and your customers. And the most common one is you have a marketing team. As you obviously scale, you get a marketing team and they feel like they're doing great work. They're getting the name out, they're getting opportunities. And then you've got a sales team who are just constantly banging the drum, trying to close business. And trying to get these two teams to work together can sometimes be quite difficult. You've got very different personalities. Marketing people are usually quite bubbly and quite out there trying to get opportunities, whereas salespeople, like I'm a sales guy at the end of the day, are quite hard hitting and want to be fast paced, get stuff done. Now, if you try and understand the dynamic of that, it goes back to classic sales funnels. I mean, as I'm kind of showcasing here on the screen, marketing are working at the top of that funnel. They're building awareness. They're trying to get new opportunities, new leads. That's what they do. And then that gets handed off to sales, who ultimately are taking that opportunity, taking that person, prospect, down the sales funnel to a point of agreeing with them, selling them something so that that person becomes a customer. And the narrative of that sales funnel, it works. It's nothing wrong with it, but how that prospect or that customer actually engages with the business is somewhat different, and it should be different. It shouldn't be kind of top down. So HubSpot kind of pivoted that classic sales funnel, and they came up with this flywheel concept, which is, yes, marketing generate leads, sales close them, and then when they become a customer, they go to your customer support team. But actually, if you take it away from that kind of top down and move it into more of a flywheel cycle, sales can generate new marketing leads. Customer service can generate referrals, and that goes right back to the top of the funnel for marketing. So all of these things kind of work together. And if you start to remove friction at any of these steps, the flywheel actually just starts spinning faster. So if you have less complaints from customers, you'll get more referrals. If you have better marketing and easier to convert marketing, you'll get a faster flywheel. If your sales team know exactly what they're selling and they know how to sell and answer the questions that people have concerns about, they will sell more business. So ultimately what you're trying to do when you're aligning these teams is you want to remove any kind of friction that the customer might have, and then you'll start to scale and generate business faster. Yeah? So that's the concept of where HubSpot came into the market. Now, as you try to scale your business, there's lots of things that goes on and happens. I mean, even from a startup, getting that first customer, you probably get it through word of mouth, and that's normal. Word of mouth is the best form of marketing you can ever do, and that's coming from a marketing agency. You can't beat word of mouth. But as you kind of try to acquire people, maybe through website traffic, you're trying to take that person, show them some learning, you're maybe trying to convert them as a lead, you're trying to qualify them, you're trying to build it, you're trying to do a lot of things as you scale the business. Now, keeping track of all of that is quite difficult. How do you do that without really losing the insight of what's happening all the way through these steps? So that's where your kind of tech stack comes into play. And when you're building that tech stack, you're trying to align what the customer is going through. Now, when people talk about their customer journey, they think about the kind of top here. They think about, okay, yeah, sure, there's people out there, then we'll convert them into a prospect, then we'll convert them into a customer, then we'll convert them into a referral. Now, the logic of that is clean. It's a straight line, it goes straight to that. But the reality of someone actually converting as a customer is far more like the bottom graphic. They jump around, and every single customer experience is very, very different. You might have someone who comes and fills in a website form, and then they ask for a sales call. You might have someone who comes to an event like this, and then they end up having a bit of a network, and then you kind of open up new doors. You might have people that download a brochure, and then they print that off, and then they read it, and they call you. So everyone's experience is very, very different. So you need to try and align all of your efforts to kind of make sure that you understand what people are doing. And then when you do eventually talk to someone, to remove that friction, you need to know what was their journey. Because if you think about their journey as just a straight line, your kind of communications as a sales team will be exactly the same every single time. And then from a customer experience standpoint, that's not what people want. They don't want to be talked to as, a call center team just going through the script and then hoping that that connects to someone. They want, when they actually speak to a business, to speak to an individual. They want that individual person to understand where they're coming from. So with all of that in mind, that's where, the tools that we're going to showcase today can help you address understanding a customer And then when it gets passed down to a sales team, they know what to do. Now, as you scale, you don't typically fix all of these problems in one go. It's very common as businesses start to build, they might start with, okay, I've got no business today, so I need to do some marketing. What am I going to do? I'm going to build a landing page and try and get some inquiries. So they might go to a tool like OnBounce or Instapage or one of these kind of builders, and then they kind of play around with that a little bit. They're looking at their analytics. Very common for your website to have Google Analytics. You want to see what the data is saying. You might even look at things like Markento for some automations if you're getting a bit craftier. But then as you kind of start to scale, you might start to get some leads, which is also what you want to do. And then you're thinking about, okay, how do I track sales? Then people start to use things like CRMs, Salesforce, Zoho, HubSpot for that matter. And they piece it all together. When it comes to the customer service side, you might be thinking about, okay, do I need some live chat? Do I need some kind of ticketing system? That's when Zoho, live chat, Zendesk, these tools all come to play. And then, as you start to scale in that environment, when you're piecing it together like this, you get to that stage where, okay, I've kind of got some tools, and now I want to connect all the dots because I've got a bit of a broken tech stack. And you start to try and maybe integrate these tools together. And that's a common thing. How do I get this tool to talk to that tool? How do I get my marketing team to talk to my sales team? And you start to kind of cobble it together with some kind of APIs and then kind of integratable platforms like Zapier, for example. Now, again, that's fine. People, as you scale the business, that's what you go through. But I mean, from a HubSpot perspective, it's just built a little bit different. It's kind of positioned for, if you're a startup and you want to fix all these things straight away in one go and don't go through that experience of piecing it all together, HubSpot has them all in one. That's the real pitch. So like, even if you have been through that experience and you want to kind of say, right, no, I'm going to clean house. I'm going to start to kind of get rid of some of these random tools that I've got and put it all in one place. So everyone in my organization is using one system. They've not got a million tabs open, and they kind of can see everything in one place. So with doing that, what you ultimately achieve is you get one single source of truth. You can go into your platform, your HubSpot platform, and you can see, okay, how many customers have I got? What is that individual customer? What did he go through? What is he saying about our business? And you can really understand the value that the marketing team are doing. You can understand the value that the sales team are bringing, even the customer service team. So when you start to kind of go down this journey and looking at HubSpot, and we'll go through it together today, it's kind of broken down into, well, it's actually broken into 5 sections, but ultimately it's kind of 3 core pieces. And those core pieces are Marketing Hub, Sales Hub, Service Hub, because that's the 3 main areas of an organization. You've got a marketing team, you've got a sales team, you've got people who service your customers. So HubSpot has kind of broken down its platform just like that. Now, the additional to the operations and the CMS is a website builder, so you can even build your website on this platform now. A lot of people still build websites on third-party tools, and they do kind of still integrate that one because it's a bit of a different beast. Whereas the Operations Hub is made it available to kind of keep your database clean. If you do have, as you're scaling, you're trying to pull away some of those third-party platforms. If you do want to kind of have maybe one core and integrate a couple, it's made it available so it's a softer kind of transition or migration from what you've got. So if we look at these 3 core pieces, at the root of it is your CRM. Your CRM is the lifeblood of a business. It really is. It's where you keep your database, and a lot of businesses still today, here, internationally, everywhere, their CRM tool is an Excel sheet. And the thought of that is quite kind of scary, because if you just got an Excel sheet, what if you forget to save it? What if you lose that file? The business is almost gone. So moving that away into a CRM tool, it gives you kind of visibility on your database as people in your network, your customers, your prospects, all in one area. Now, in the HubSpot platform, what the CRM gives you, it gives you contact management, it gives you company management, it gives you forms, it gives you records, it gives you chat, it gives you emailing, it gives you tasks, all of these things in one place. Then when you take that kind of core database, let's say, how do you build on it? How do you talk to it? That's where the marketing piece comes into play. So your email marketing, your landing pages, how your website ranks on Google through your SEO, if you run ad campaigns, all of these things is how you do your marketing digitally, even if you do offline marketing. Understanding the value of that in one place is where the marketing hub comes in. And then the last one of that is the kind of service side. So, what is service? It's understanding customers' responses to your business. So it could be ticketing, it could be customer support through call centers, it could be surveys and understanding people's actual feedback. So like all of these tools, it's great, yep, cool, HubSpot does all of that stuff and it's out of the box and I can do it, but you've got to be able to execute it. You've got to be able to set it up and match it to your business, which is actually quite daunting when you think about it and you start to put it on paper. But I'm going to dive into HubSpot directly now, and you'll get a taste of how easy it actually can be if you just get stuck into it. It's not that difficult. I mean, HubSpot has tried to position itself as a very user-friendly and easy platform to adapt to. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a sales guy on the ground. I speak to a lot of people every single day, but because I've been using this tool for so long now, I would confidently say I'm as good as any HubSpot expert, out there that's part of a marketing team. It's that easy that once you start to use it, you kind of just pick it up. So what I'll kind of walk you through now, I'll need to stay behind my laptop, but this is my HubSpot. This is the kind of UX of it. The UX doesn't change. And what you basically have on your navigation up top here, you've got your contacts, which is your main database, which you're kind of seeing in front of me. We've got our conversations tab, which is a mixture of some of these platforms. And then the next three are just as I said, marketing, sales, service. And then we've got some of the kind of overlapping pieces of the platform. Things like automation can happen across all of the organization and understanding the reports of what goes on. Now, you're seeing here a database of almost 56,000 people. Before you even get to that stage, you need to work on the marketing side. So what I'll do through this is I'll take you through a customer journey of how you would generate a lead, all the different opportunities. Once that lead comes into your system, how do you manage it? And then how do you look at all the analytics? So if I jump to here first. So I'm now looking at the marketing tab. If I go through it, we've got a couple of core pieces. We've got our ad manager, we've got our emails, we've got our landing pages, we've got social, and then we've got SEO. So if I think about, if I was, forget HubSpot, just talking business with someone, and they came to me and said, I need to generate more leads, how do I do it? You've got kind of options in the market, right? I specialize in digital, so I would kind of look at the business and say, right, how does someone find you? They either know you in their network, and maybe someone has shared some of your social media content, and they've ended up following your social pages. Or maybe they're just browsing as a normal user on their own social, and they get hit with an ad campaign, and then they ultimately see it and click through. Or maybe they're actively looking for something on Google, and they found you that way. So you've got to understand all of these different sources of how they kind of reach you. So if we talk about the first one, the quickest way to get your name out there is to run ads. Quite frankly, digital marketing is run through kind of ad campaigns, whether they're sponsored on social or whether they're Google. And how you kind of manage that, you would typically go into like Google AdWords, or you would go into Meta, the Facebook ad manager, or you go into TikTok, one of these platforms, you run your ads. Now, that's fine. The challenge with that is to analyze all of these or to manage them on an ongoing basis. You might have an agency, but as you're building and scaling the business, you want to be able to do some of this stuff yourself. So what HubSpot has done, they've kind of pooled all of these platforms into one area. So if you are running multiple different ad campaigns on different platforms, you can now see it in one area. So what you're seeing on mine here, these are all of our previous Google AdWords campaigns that we've been running. And you can see, get rid of this little tab. We've got pages and pages of historical data here. But if I wanted to understand, okay, did this one particular web campaign work for us? Now you've got a lot of zeros here because we've got them all turned off, but what you would then get is a single pane of, okay, how many impressions did that campaign get? How many clicks did that campaign get? How many contacts did that get? And you would get that type of stuff from Google Analytics. That's what that does. But when you start to marry that with a CRM tool, and we'll get into the sales side in a little bit, you're basically in the CRM, you're tracking prospects to customers. But if you understand the source in the same view, what you then start to see is, okay, this campaign spent X, it generated X, but how many customers did it actually get? Now, when you have those two side by side, then you get return on investment. So your decisions, instead of looking at Google Analytics and saying, well, I think that campaign's doing well, it's got 1,000 clicks. Now you can look at it and say, well, that campaign has brought me 10 customers. So I'm going to put more money into that because I know it works. So having that in a single kind of view is important. And then you can start to attribute actual revenue and ROI up here. So that's one way that you kind of generate business. Now, this kind of view that I'm looking at right now is if you're actually wanting to turn on, turn off, change these types of things. If you want to get a kind of visualization of it, HubSpot has reporting analytics at all stages. So kind of understanding the business analytics that we kind of spoke about earlier in nice visual reports. So kind of seeing our spend, understanding what's going on, seeing what platform kind of works best for us. And again, these are all out of the box reports. So it's what's important from your kind of business perspective, what you want to see, and just modifying that in one area. Now, okay, you got ads, great, that's working. We've kind of got people coming in the door. Where are they going? Where are you sending them? You're either sending them to your website, and then in which case they're filling in forms and coming to the CRM. Or if you're going for more customized messaging, it might be a promo, or it might be an event, or it might be your conference, you want to collect data there. The quickest way to do that without changing your website, you want to kind of personalize that content. So that's when the landing pages come into play. So you want to kind of spin off single page landing pages that have forms that people can convert on. Now, that is where the first kind of piece of friction usually happens from a marketing team's perspective, because the only way they can do that, they usually have to talk to IT. And IT people are kind of historically difficult to work with because they're tech. And they get into the nitty-gritty, the code of that side, where the tools that are available today, you don't need to do that. So HubSpot has kind of taken some of the kind of landing page builders in the market, understand what they do, and they brought it into theirs. So to give you an idea of how easy it is, I'll kind of build one now. So if I just do an int 5 landing page. What it's got inside it's got a bunch of templates, so you can just work out what's there available. So let's say I wanted to use this particular magazine download template that we have. I can easily just select it. It's all built for me, no coding required at all. And if I want to change it, edit it, I can do that straight away. So let's say it was for today's event. Change my text. So we got int 5, reg, event, page. Straight away. Got it. My form's already here. If I want to change my form, let's say I want to capture something different. I'm not too interested in the city. I want to add something else. Let's say I want to call it location. Straight away there. Edit this form. Boom. I've now got that option in here. So you can play around with this. You can add images, add videos, whatever you want. It's really quite simple to build. Give it half an hour, you've got a landing page that you can publish. Again, so now you've got your ad campaign, you've got your landing page. That's working together. It's in the same space. Now, you want to understand, okay, from my ad platform, I can see how many impressions, I can see how many clicks, I can see how many customers. But what if you want to understand, was that landing page successful? Did it convert? What did it do for me? you're getting analytics on individual pages now as well. So once you've published it, I can see from this perspective, okay, I'm looking at it from a different angle. I'm looking at how many people have visited this page, how many people have bounced, how many customers have come from this. And then at all stages, the kind of common thing you'll see is how do we attribute revenue to what we're doing as a marketing team. So because we have these analytics all tied to the CRM, we can put a value to that landing page now. We can say, well, actually, we had a customer convert from here. We know who that individual customer is. He spent X amount of money with us. So now that landing page has got a value. Whereas if you don't connect them all with the CRM, you don't get that insight. You're hoping and you're just seeing, okay, yeah, okay, people filled in the form, but you don't understand what happens after that. The next piece of the kind of marketing journey, or the next tool that someone might come into play, you've now got contacts that have filled in a form, they're in the database. How do you communicate to them? Yeah, you've got a sales team who are kind of talking and calling, but email marketing is one of the most valuable forms of marketing, but is also the most misused and undervalued form of marketing. Because when people talk email marketing, they instantly think, real estate is historically bad for this. They want to do it. They want to do email marketing, and they say, I've got a database of 2 million people. I want to send them all an email, but they don't know who those 2 million people are. So that's like cold email blasting. It does not work at all. But when you've got people coming to you through the landing pages, through the website, they know who you are. So they're actually communicating to them, oh, hey, this is what you filled in. This is a bit of comms. This is who's going to talk to you. Even today, getting an email about this event before you register or as you register, it's because it's connected to you, right? So in HubSpot, they've done the same as the landing pages, building your own emails. So these can be regular, and you've got a list and you just send, or they can be automated. So before you automate them, you've got to build that content. Again, it's real simple stuff. It's kind of drag and drop, pick from a template. So let's just say I wanted to, do a sale of a couple of products. Picking this template, for example. Let's give it a name. Int5 test. It's okay. And we've kind of got elements to this already, which are fine. Let's say I just want to edit some of these. I want to edit this image. HubSpot has its own media bank, so you can save all of your images. But if you don't have, because we've not really built our own media bank, it's connected to free online stock images as well, which is quite handy. So it's got kind of Shutterstock images. So let's just say I'm going to take this random guy. And if I didn't have what I needed in this template, it's kind of drag and drop. So if I want a video in here now, pop it in there. Upload a video. If I want to change the color because it doesn't match my branding, real simple stuff. Change the color code. Let's make it white now. Whatever we need to do. So it's kind of really easy to build. When you get to sending it, you can pick your list. Here's Sam's friend list. I now know I'm going to send this out to 120 people. I can send that now, or I can schedule it for later. Or if I have that kind of customer journey and I don't really know where people are coming from, I want to take some of this heavy lifting off my hands. I don't want to have to create emails constantly for what we're doing. You want to think about how can we automate that? And that's where the HubSpot marketing tool has really advanced over other things in the market. So understanding what that journey is, you can start to set triggers. So for example, a very common one, if I look at, let's take the education market and private schools, or if I take any kind of SaaS business, people look at their website and understand, if I'm selling technology, one of the key things that people look at online is the pricing, because it's available. Or if I'm kind of looking for a school here in Dubai for my children, you want to understand the curriculum, you want to understand the cost. So these pages of the website become critical. So one of the things I can do, if I take a trigger which is someone has viewed a page of my website and it's the specific URL, which is our pricing page, I can now have an automation based on that. So let's say I know they're in my database, so I know who they are. But if they hit my pricing page, I want to wait 1 day because they might interact with us. Let's say 1 day after they view the pricing page, let's now send them an email. So one of those ones that we've just built, obviously it could have information about the pricing, and the call to action on that could be request a consultation with our team. Very easy thing, but now from that particular customer's experience, they feel like you understand them. They feel like the timing of that was perfect. I was genuinely looking at the pricing page, and a day later I received an email about the pricing of this. It's a softer landing for them as an individual. They don't feel like they're getting bombarded with emails because it's not just a mass list. It's actually something that I'm looking at. Now, that's a little bit creepy. People are tracking what you're doing on the website, but ultimately it's not that creepy if it's helping you. It's giving you a better experience. And then to keep nurturing that individual, we talk about the messy middle of a sales funnel. You got people that are generating leads, and you got people that are trying to close, but sometimes those leads are not ready to actually become customers. They just want to stay connected to your business. And that's that kind of messy middle bit, where if you can continue to understand what they're doing and send them marketing information, they appreciate it. So let's say they've gone to that pricing, we've sent them an email, and we want to know what happens next. We might start to use things like the if-then branches. So let's say we could use if they opened that email, if they clicked that CTA, if they booked the call, any of these things that are in the marketing. Let's say we had a CTA which was request a demo, for example, in this email. So if they did request a demo, we might cut off the emails there, or we might just send a thank you. But if they didn't, we might change the narrative of our next communication. If the first one was request a demo, the next email we send might just be download a brochure, because they're not quite ready for a demo. Let's give them some more content, let them self-educate themselves, or send them a video which kind of talks them through whatever they're looking at. And once you build these out in an automation, it's hands-free. Like once I save this, I don't need to touch it again. But then I know that behind the scenes, all of my customers are going through this kind of easy experience, getting the content they want as they go through. So that ultimately helps continue to kind of build on the marketing side. Now, the last aspect that I'm going to touch on is your organic ranking on Google, so your SEO. Probably one of the more technical or more daunting forms of digital marketing, because no one, even as an agency, we don't really know how to impact Google, because it's Google. They're the only ones that know. We get information about the algorithms and things like this. And ultimately, we're trying to improve our website's ranking on a keyword basis over time. But to understand how your website is actually performing is quite a technical thing. And to really know what you've got to edit and change, you're reliant on usually agencies. But what HubSpot has done is take some of that confusion away. So as a business owner, you can actually get some more insight. But what it does, if I just go here, it's got a scanning tool. So you can run this as much as you want. We ran our last one on the 24th, 24 days ago. And what that will start to do, it'll shoot out all of the potential problems of your website that's impacting your ranking. And it will tell you quite straight here what's the impact it's going to have if you fix it. So it's going to have a high impact on your ranking if you fix this. Okay. Better? Sure. Yeah, so you can see here like how much impact it's going to have. It'll tell you how difficult it is, and it will tell you who you need to fix it. So this particular one, you actually need to go to a developer. So if you've got, a maintenance contract with a website developer, you can tell them, I want this fixed. Or there's other things like, if I scroll down, this one here, duplicate page tags. It's going to have a high impact. It's kind of moderately difficult to do, but someone who's using HubSpot can edit it. So you can go and chip away at some of these things that are impacting your SEO ranking, without even needing a technical person. And it continually tells you what's the issues, which is quite good. Now, the other piece is SEO today is really reliant on content. You have to produce a high volume of content if you want to kind of beat your competitors. Now, understanding what to write about, understanding how many articles you want to write about is kind of confusing. People don't really know. So what HubSpot has done is kind of created a contact section, let's call it, where it can map out all of the content on your website that matches keywords. So if I just take this one, for example, one of the keywords that we want to rank for is website services. We build websites at the end of the day. So we have a core website page, which is connected to that keyword. What it then starts to do is it helps you map out all of the other phrases or keywords that are connected to website services that if you wrote content about them and you had a page of your website for them, it will help you scale and it'll help you kind of rank for more keywords around that particular subject matter. And what you're seeing in our one here, so if I look at this, website content creation Dubai, we've got a website page about that. But then if I look at the one above, one of the keywords that would help us rank is website design in Dubai. But we've not got a website page connected to that. So straight away, if I had a content writer or if I was doing it myself, I should go and write a page about that and it's going to help my ranking. So it's understanding these kind of content clusters from an organic standpoint and having it somewhere so you keep track of it is quite helpful and useful. Whereas without that, you're kind of reliant on an agency and a lot of the time you don't get a full visibility of what's going on. So, just give me 1 second. That's kind of top level marketing tools. There are some other quirky features to it, things like the actual CTAs, the forms that you build. There is a media bank, but they're not really the sexiest part of the tool. The last one I'll show in here is the campaigns. So we talked about ad campaigns earlier, but actually an ad is just one piece of a campaign. Like let's take this event today. All of the things that the marketing team might do to kind of generate people to come to an event, you might build a landing page. You might post on your LinkedIn 4 or 5 times. Facebook for that matter too, you might do that. You might run a Google AdWords campaign. You might have some emails happening. But all of these things combined are the campaign for the event. And you want to look at them as a campaign. You don't want to look at them individually. As much as you can, get to the nitty gritty and understand the individual aspects of that, you can build out campaigns. So let's say we've got an Int5 event. I'll skip some of the details here. But now I can produce a report just about this particular thing. And I can piece that report together with all of the different assets that we used. So let's say from our ad campaign section, I had one campaign for that. I maybe wrote a blog on our website about the event. I had a landing page for the registration. There's the one we built earlier. Let's say I did those 3 LinkedIn posts. And let's say I published a page on our website. So now what we've done is just taken all those assets that we built individually and pulled them into one space. So they all kind of populate down here. And then what this part of HubSpot does, it amalgamates all of that data into one space. So instead of understanding, okay, I've attributed revenue to that one landing page, technically that is correct because there's a customer come off that one landing page, but actually it was a combination of different pieces that formed that revenue. So now what you look at on a campaign basis, how many customers came from this particular event and all of the different things we did. And it will kind of portion the percentage between all of those assets, how much it's impacting the business. So when you're looking at, from an investment standpoint, where you're putting any marketing budget you do have, whether that's kind of trying to stay as lean as possible, or whether it's as you scale, you're kind of allocating more budget, you've got some funding, you can now be more kind of scientific about where that goes because you're working on a campaign by campaign basis. Yep, sure. Yeah, so you also need to have access to be able to connect, but there's no restriction on connecting 4 or 5 different Google AdWords accounts. There's no restriction connecting 6 or 7 social media accounts. You can do it as long as they're willing to kind of collaborate like that. You can do it. I skimmed past the social media, but let's jump past there actually now. From an organic standpoint on social, you post up stuff constantly. You might work on a calendar by calendar basis, but understanding and scheduling some of that, there's tools out there like Hootsuite, Sprinkler, Later, these kind of social media platforms that allow you to schedule your whole calendar. Now, one of the things that we do, we talk about employer branding quite a lot, and when you're looking for talent to join your organization, the local market right now, I mean, talent is quite difficult to come by because people are kind of jumping around. So we want as a business to come across as quite a attractive looking place to work for. And one of the ways you can achieve that is by having everyone in the organization using their social media to post. Now, you then become very reliant on individuals. But going back to your point about can you connect multiple accounts, what we've got here are, look, this is my CEO. I've got access to his social media account. This is my MD. This is one of my colleagues. This is our corporate page. But because we have multiple accounts connected like that, now we can say to the marketing team, hey, you take some of the ownership of this. You make sure that all of our employees have got, if they're obviously acceptable of that and understand it's coming from marketing, to maybe publish one post a month to all these pages. And maybe that post is like a informative blog. So your organization and all your employees are all kind of working on the same hymn sheet. They're sending the same content out, and it looks good, it looks consistent, it looks attractive from a talent kind of perspective, but also from all these different networks. Individuals have their own kind of pockets of networks, and it starts to break into it. So from a kind of marketing and cost perspective, that's cost free. You know, if you can get everyone posting the same stuff and chipping away into kind of that word of mouth aspect, it becomes cheaper, you can work more leaner, you don't have to rely on ad platforms and things like this. So, I mean, again, you can post multiple times. So even if you have like a freelancer, for that matter, you can get that freelancer to kind of produce a whole calendar, publish it all in one go, and then you can remove that access because you don't really want them having access into everything. But it can be like a half an hour in, out, and then all of a sudden, all of that kind of social media is taken care of. And again, you're seeing it here. If it is, you can add it into that campaign. There's the one that I just created. So if we've got someone posting for the rest of the month, and it is we want to attribute it to one particular campaign, you just pop it in, and it all kind of pieces itself together. So let's move on to the next piece of this, right? The sales. So we've got marketing happening. We're generating leads. That's what's going on with all these pieces that we've kind of walked through. So going back to the database, this is where your sales team will actually sit and work. And this is where you're getting that true kind of single source or single view of what's happening on an individual basis. So what I've done is I've just selected one of these people for the purpose of showing you. And it's someone that I know, so I don't think she'll mind me showing this. But what's happening on the left-hand side, this is where you're storing data on that person. So it's known as properties in HubSpot, but basically any kind of field they fill in. So I'm able to see here like job title, company size, all of these things that we've created. Out of the box, it's just first name, last name, email, these types of things. But you can modify it and add whatever you need. On the center, this is kind of like the activity feed where you can actually kind of update things. And then on the right-hand side, these are what's known as associated objects. But what's interesting, so if I go to the bottom of this activity feed, I can see a date, a time of when this person started engaging with my business. And that's when they entered our database. I can see where they came from. So this person came from direct traffic, went on Google, typed our website, and that's where they first came to us. So that tells me that they obviously heard from word of mouth. Otherwise, why would they know my website? Maybe they'd met me or they picked up my business card, one of these aspects, but it wasn't from a marketing campaign. But what you start to get, I can see on the 12th of September, this person was on our homepage. This is our homepage here. Then they went to our About Us page within the matter of 1 minute. Okay, cool. Then they filled in a form. Now, how HubSpot works, email is the unique identifier. So as someone is on your website, they're browsing, they're anonymous. You don't know who they are. And that's fine. You don't really want to know, because that's why we've got cookie policies, so that you can't find out who people are. But the minute they fill in a form, where HubSpot is quite great, it can retrospectively pull all of that IP and understand what they've done before they filled in a form. So while they're anonymous, it could be a year, it could be a couple of days. I can now find out, okay, they've filled in a form, so now the sales team get all the insight of what they've been self-educating themselves on, which is quite cool. Now in this particular one, I like to show it. This is someone who works in kind of payment solutions, payment gateways. After they filled in the form, that was still on the 12th of September. The next day, I can see that they came to our blog, and they were reading a page which was talking about Stripe, which is the payment gateway provider we wrote an article about, because they came into the UAE about a year ago. Then from there, the same day, 1 hour later, they looked at one of our kind of global agency pages, understanding that we have multiple offices. So I know what they're kind of researching. Again, within about 10 minutes, they bounced around a little bit. They continued to read that same article, but then they went to a page which was, how much does a good agency cost in Dubai? And then we can see here, this is where I kind of took over. I'm not showing some of the information, but from a sales perspective, I now know what is going through that person's mind. They want to understand, as an agency, we've got credibility because they went to our About Us page. They want to understand what is the size of our agency because they went to that page. They did some marketing research, and now I know that they really want an agency that has experience in their kind of industry. And then the final page they viewed was a costing page. So I know price is on their mind. They're conscious of that. So when I talk to them, I no longer have to say, hey, how's it going? What do you want? I can speak directly about the things that they want to know. Okay, average cost is this. We've worked with these people in your industry, because I can see that. Now, thank you. Is that a bad thing? Do they feel like, oh, is he kind of tracking me? No, they don't. They feel like Sam understands me. He's addressing my concerns. He's removing any friction I have about potentially working with him. So the tool empowers the sales team to have that kind of information. Now, from a tracking perspective, I'm only showing you the page views and the form submissions. I can track every single email. So any emails that your organization has back and forth with them can show in one pane. So if you maybe have an employee that leaves, but you want to know all of that historical conversations, it's there. HubSpot can integrate with third-party tools. So it can integrate with WhatsApp, which is quite interesting. So a lot of UAE, there's business done on WhatsApp, whereas elsewhere in the world, it just doesn't work like that. And usually what happens is that conversation on WhatsApp, you don't really have transparency on, because it's on an individual person's phone. So you kind of have a bit of a, bit of a gap there. But now if I was to take that into this platform and understand, okay, I see all the emails, I see all the WhatsApps, even SMS, I can see it all in one place. I really know what that person's communication with my organization is. And at any time I need to refer to something, it's all in one place, it's quick and easy to find. Now, from a day-to-day communication with that person, what you can do in the CRM, you can add notes, personal, just whatever it is. I wrote a high note here, whatever. I can send individual emails. So unlike your email marketing, just sending from me directly from my Gmail, it's all connected with HubSpot. We also have a couple of additional tools here. So to save a salesperson repeatedly writing the same thing over and over and over again, you can pre-save messages. So one I use quite a lot if I need to nudge and remind people of something, because typically people don't respond to you quickly. People disappear in the sales process, which is fine. Now straight away, there's a pre-written email. Took me 1 second to click it. I didn't have to type that. Now, if you've got a sales funnel of 100 people, that could take you all day. Now it takes me 2 seconds. To take that a bit more advanced, during sales, you do a lot of follow-up just because of the nature of someone's buying cycle, right? They don't all instantly buy, yep, perfect, awesome. You might have to chase them, follow up with them. So one of the tools that's built in HubSpot is they've got something called a sequencing tool. So, during the pandemic, I used this a lot because during the pandemic, people didn't really know what to do with business. It was very kind of risky. People were scared to make impacts. They didn't know what's happening tomorrow. So for example, this is something that I created. For all of my kind of sales funnel, I created 5 email templates. And they're all just pretty basic, but they're coming from me directly. And how this works, all I have to do is just enroll someone in the sequence. The first email goes out. But then my next email, I've got a delay of 3 business days. And then the next email goes out. I've got a delay of 3 more business days. And unlike the marketing automation side of HubSpot, this is coming from me and it's saving my personal time. How it works is if they reply to me, the future emails stop. If they book my calendar, these emails stop. So now on a day-to-day basis, this is real life. On a day-to-day basis, I only talk to people who are actively looking for me. People who have booked my calendar, people who have sent me an email, and I don't have to waste any time on people that I want to chase. I just let the system do it. So that now I can become a lot more productive. I can jam pack a day with people that are actually lower down the sales funnel and ready to purchase because they're coming to me. Whereas if I spent all day chasing people, I'm working at a much higher level of a sales funnel, and I don't know if that's even valuable. A lot of these people just won't come back to you, and then you just understand you've got to move them out, which is fine. The next piece of tracking and understanding what's the experience. Yes, you've got emails. Yes, you've got WhatsApp. Yes, you've got SMS. But you also have calls. And you might have someone who's calling people and you want to log and register to understand, okay, how many calls do we have to make to close business? You can also use, regionally, HubSpot doesn't have the call recording. There are some local platforms that you can integrate. For example, we've got a tool called Ziwoo integrated here, so I can actually have a full call recording in HubSpot, and I can see our qualification team, what they're saying, understand what's being said, all in one view, which is awesome. It has task management, so doing reminders to yourself or even collaborating with others. So if I wanted to do a manual follow-up task, let's say I want to do it on Wednesday, I want to send myself a reminder, it's going to me. Or even if I wanted to, as you kind of scale and build your teams, you might have people working kind of together. Amelia is one of my colleagues that I work with regularly. So sometimes I'll send her a task and say, hey, can you do this by X date? And it's all kind of tracked and we can see. So again, it's not like a third party or sticky notes all over the place. You've got it all in one system. So you can really understand what's happening. The next piece of this is kind of in real time, you might want to understand when to talk to someone. So yes, okay, I'm using a sequencing email marketing tool, but a lot of the time, people are sitting at their desk or they're on the move, and they're actually engaging with some of your content, but you don't really know. And trying to get that time when they're ready to buy and speak to them is quite important. So what HubSpot has over here is an activity feed, which I use it on the mobile more than anything. But what this now gives me is a breakdown. For example, I can see this is an individual person, and this is one email that I have. But I can see what time, when they're opening it. So I get push notifications to my mobile phone to say, this person is on this email at this time. So for example, if I'm chasing a contract, and I don't know when they're going to sign it, or I really want to close it for the end of the month, or one of these kind of very sales pressure type decisions, If I see right now they've just opened it, that's when I pick up my phone and I get on the call and say, hey, have you looked at that? Have you done it yet? Because it might just be a case of they're busy and they've got other tasks. But if you catch them at that moment they're on the document, they'll be like, yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. I'm here. Actually, I had a concern about this one thing. Can you just clarify it? Because sometimes people have concerns and they don't voice them just because they don't feel comfortable with it. They don't want to maybe address it. And it'll sit on a desk for weeks and weeks and weeks until they really get to that pressure point. So if you can speed up that sales cycle just by understanding when people are on things, it's quite good. Now, what you're seeing here is a lot of it says someone instead of an individual person. And that's because the tracking side of HubSpot, if there's people in the CC of an email, it can't identify who's doing that opening. But how do you fix that? Comes down to the subject names. So this particular email here, this is a business name. So I know it's that particular business that's opening it. I know who's the primary owner of that business, so I know who to call. Whereas if it's just one person in the email, it even tells you the name of that person who's opening it. So I can now understand in real time. I've got my sequencing tool chasing people for me. I've got my meeting calendar link, which I'll get into in a second. And then all I'm doing is looking at the push notifications to time my actual calls. So again, going down to like sales productivity, it helps and really speeds up all of these things. From there, you've got these leads coming in, you're speaking to them, you're chasing them, you're following up with them, but you want to understand, where's the money coming from? Where's the revenue of the business? How do I forecast these things? So HubSpot has what they call a deals pipeline. And all that is, it's your sales funnel. It's the stages, the steps that you go through to close business. Now, you're seeing here a dummy version of mine that I've kind of just picked up, where we have things like registration, application. This was for a HR team. So it's like roles defined, roles match, follow up. And all I can do is I can just drag and drop these little boxes as I go. So from an admin side, it's really quite limited. Not limited, but it's low. I just quickly drop. I understand exactly where everyone is in my sales funnel. So if I'm trying to forecast and understand, okay, how much business am I potentially going to close this week, this month, this year, I can just quickly look at this and say, okay, well, here's a deal that is at verbally approved, that people have said they're going to buy from us. It's got a value attached to it. It's got a close date attached to it. So I can then pull off a report and understand, okay, what does that look like? Now, these deals, as they're called in HubSpot, if you want to look at the specific information about them, you then go into it here. Now, it looks exactly the same as a contact. It's got properties on the left. It's got the activity feed in the center. It's got the objects on the right. So all of these different pieces of HubSpot, going back to the kind of UX of it and the ease to use it, they've tried to keep it quite consistent across the board. So now, again, if I want to speak to this person, instead of talking to them at a prospect level, I'm now talking to them at a stage where there's a value attached to that opportunity. So you might have multiple opportunities with one person, but we're tracking it like that. So I can now see, okay, close date, play around with that. I can put a value into this particular deal. So if I want to know how much potential revenue are we going to generate, I can then go into my forecasting tool, and it will take all of that data and understand what's in the pipeline. So if I just go for last quarter here, we can set sales targets. So let's just say this is some dummy data. We're targeting 4 million as a team. How much revenue are we actually forecasting? Well, we actually think, that we're committed based on these deals for $250,000. We expect X amount. We think kind of close to the bottom of the funnel is something. And all the system is doing, it's taking those stages of the deals funnel and forecasting it. So if someone's at contract and verbal approved, let's put that into a commitment and a forecast. If it's kind of still at that negotiation stage, maybe we're expecting that to happen. We've got a date attached to that. So it can pull in and give you a single view of, okay, based on everything in the CRM, here's what I think the business will do. And what does that then empower you to say? Well, okay, if we do have a target of X, and with all the deals we currently have, we're still falling short, we need to go back into the marketing and put more investment there so that we can meet our goals. So as you scale, you now get visibility into where you are as a business. Moving from there, I mean, you've now, let's say you're kind of closing that business, you've started to run, the CRM's working, you've got customers. That's where the kind of customer service side of HubSpot comes into play. And you know, if it's retainer business and you've got customers on the kind of books, you might have kind of some inquiries, you might have what they call tickets, it might even be complaints that you need to be able to service these people. Less so in product sales, because product sales are in, out, you bought it, they move on. So the first part of that is tracking all of these requests. So just like your sales funnel and your deals, there is a ticketing funnel. So I can see if an inquiry comes from one of our customers, it automatically creates a ticket, and I can set a priority level based on whatever that was. And then as your customer service team works, they can just move it down. Okay, we're working on that, we've acknowledged it, we're waiting on the contact, we're waiting on us, we've completed it. So it can keep track of all of your kind of existing customers and if they've got any communications going on. So you've now got marketing, sales, customer service all in one place. Now, that's cool. Tickets are based on your customers reaching out to you and asking questions. But if we're talking about the flywheel and how do we scale and how do we not rely on so much marketing investment, your customers are your lowest hanging fruit to get more business. But how do you get more business out of them outside of just asking, do you want to do this? One of the ways that it can be done is through kind of surveys. So if you knew you've got some happy customers, they are more likely to do more business with you, or they're more likely to refer someone to you. And a lot of people forget to ask that question. Do you have someone in your network that you can refer us? Okay, it's not the most comfortable conversation to have. You don't want to rock up to someone and say, hey, customer X, yeah, we're doing an awesome job for you. Why don't you tell us about all your friends? That's not something you really want to do, right? But it's okay from the marketing team's perspective to do that. Is it negative to receive an email from a service provider that you work with that asks you to rate their service? I don't have an issue with that. I'm quite happy to give, feedback to someone that I'm working with. So what that looks like on the front end, something as basic as this, using NPS, Net Promoter Score, inside of HubSpot, you can send out surveys like this, like give us a rating 1 out of 10. Give us you see in a lot of the kind of government apps here, the smiley face kind of thing, happy face, sad face, medium face. But okay, cool, you're getting some insight. What can you then do with that? One of the things that we do with this, like this goes out to all of our customers, and it has a positive and a negative impact. If we see someone is kind of giving us a 9 or a 10 on this, then we would actually approach them and say, well, you've actually said this. It would come back to me and I would go over to that customer and say, thanks for filling in the survey. You said you would refer us to some of your colleagues. Asking that question now has some justification, and not just me randomly going up to a customer and saying, hey, can you refer us? Now I've got some context to doing that. Now on the other side of it, you might have unhappy customers, but you don't often know they're unhappy until it's too late. They usually approach you and say, no, I'm cutting ties with you guys, don't want to work with you, whatever it may be, or I don't like your product, it doesn't fit what I want it to do. But if you're sending out surveys like this and they give a negative score, now you can address it. So, your product didn't do what I wanted it to do. Okay, I didn't know that. You've given us the score, you've said that. I can go up to them and say, well, what did you want it to do? Maybe there's a workaround, maybe there's a solution, maybe there's a different product that would be better fit. And you can address that before it gets to that kind of point of, I'm not going to work with you anymore. So you don't also lose customers, you don't get churn. And all of that is in one place. Now, how do you piece all these things together? You build the email in the marketing tool that I showed you. You use the survey from the customer service section. you use the automation to send out these surveys based on when they become a customer. So if I've got the CRM saying, well, they became a customer last Tuesday, I can have an automation which says, well, after someone becomes a customer, give them 3 months, then automatically send a survey. So from an operational standpoint, you don't need to be doing it daily. You don't need to be constantly trying to think, oh, I've not done that survey. Just let the platform do it for you. I mean, I think for today, that's kind of a wrap up of the demo. Going back to some of my slides. From a HubSpot startup perspective, it's obviously a very, very powerful tool. And there's lots of things it can do, and chipping away at them, you just kind of have to implement it. Now, what HubSpot has kind of done to become kind of easier or softer for you guys to kind of get involved, it produces a lot of educational content, a lot of its own resources. So they have an academy that's kind of available to you that you can watch. Okay, I want to build a survey. I don't know how to do it. I don't have an agency doing it for me. You can quickly go and watch a 2-minute video on their academy and then implement it. I don't know how to track sales. Watch the video, implement it. From a technology standpoint, this is probably the biggest part of it for you guys, being part of the incubator here. Buying all of this tech can be expensive, but HubSpot has kind of made himself available for startups. They push out discounts for startups being part of incubators. So I'll kind of get to that in a second. For the incubator here, some of HubSpot is completely free. You can go online now, get the CRM, use it. Other pieces like the automation are part of the paid platform, but Int5 have a 90% discount on the technology. So you can pay pennies for it and use it. And before you kind of go through that experience of getting random pieces of software and trying to migrate them all away, you can start from day one with everything, and then you don't have to worry about going through that journey. Going back to the academy, I mean, I touched on it there, the educational content, they have it, but they also have a marketplace of third-party tools that you can integrate. So when I talked about WhatsApp is its standalone platform, and HubSpot is not trying to recreate a tool like WhatsApp because it's already got so much value and the market is already adapted to it. So there's some systems that you would never ever try to replace. But what it's made it very easy for is they've created a marketplace that you can just plug and play. So within a couple of clicks, connect these platforms. Guys, I'm going to take a breather. Does anyone have any questions? Anything you want to see? Anything you would like to know? Please. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, active list. Yeah. It's really pretty simple, actually. I'll show you. So what you're... Yeah, exactly. So you're referring to the list function down here. So when you've got your big database, it's all just everyone in there, but there's certain segmentation that you would have. It might be customers, for example, and your customers constantly change. So we've got two different types of lists. We've got static lists, which are for if you're doing something right now and you know exactly who you want it to be, you create a static list and you send it to. But something that is a variable that changes over time, that's why you would have an active list. So let's just create one in 5 active list. I've selected active opposed to static. And all you have to do is apply the filters of what you want in that list. So the example customer, what you would want to do there is take a deal property, and then I would use deal stage, going back to the pipeline, and you've got a stage which is your closed business customer. The deal stage is any of, and I would say closed one, so I know they're now a customer. And all that'll do, it will pull every single person that is a customer. You save it, so when the sales team are working and they're moving new ones into that deals one, it'll automatically add them into this list. Quite simple. Yep, so it'll go back to the deals pipeline, right? So how you set that up, you can either have your deals one, if they're no longer a customer, just remove them from that column and put them into previous customer column, for example. Or you might want to create a second pipeline where you have, like, you've got that first set of sales to when you get a contract closed. Fine, just keep it clean. You might want to create another pipeline with an existing customer pipeline, and there might be things that happen. You might do, I don't know, quarterly reporting, for example. So you want to keep track of, okay, when do we have to do that quarterly report? Put it into a stage, and then if they're no longer a customer, they'll no longer be in that quarterly reporting column. You have to move them out. So again, it's just a deal stage, and you can keep track of it like that. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yep.
So once the customer fills the form, then it's the existing record of my specific website.
That's right. Yeah.
So if the customer doesn't fill the form,
It's anonymous. Yeah, you don't. It's impossible to know who that person is, right? So again, the key identifier is email. The minute you have someone's email, you can connect it. Now, they don't necessarily have to fill in the form. Let's say that someone's on your website, a couple of days, been on it, and you meet them. You go out for a coffee, share business cards, and you manually upload them into the system. It can still track everything that's going on, yeah. So that email is like gold dust. You want to capture them. No, it doesn't need to be created in HubSpot. It's just, let's say you got a WordPress website. You get tracking code, just like you do like a Facebook pixel, this type of stuff. Put it into the body tag of your website, copy paste, and then you're now tracking the full website. Yeah. Yeah. You need to have, so it's not the easiest thing to do. You need to use an authorized WhatsApp partner. So there's about 3 or 4 in Dubai. There's a whole bunch globally. But basically they have the ability to connect to different tools. And all you're doing is just taking a carbon copy of the message. So you're not breaking the encryption. You're just copying it into another platform. So just like you have on WhatsApp, you can see it. It's just the same thing mirrored over here. You need to have a third party that does it. I mean, you and I, we can't just go and take my username and password and chuck it in, unfortunately.
okay. So
It does in some nature. It's not an ERP system. So it's not to be replaced with, let's say SAP, for example, where you've got all your products and you're keeping track of, well, I've got 100 units, I sold 1 unit, now I've got 99 units. But what it does have is a product list. So I go into here for a second. And this is where the e-commerce piece of HubSpot can come into play. So over here, we've got line items. So if we were using HubSpot for e-com, it would pull in everything in the basket and show us. But in a kind of more B2B environment, you can create your product catalog inside of HubSpot. So now if I've got this deal and I want to track, okay, what products or what services were we applying to that, I can create a quote, or I can just attach line items from my product library, or I can create them one-on-one. But the product library you create in HubSpot, so they would all be listed out here. I don't use it, so I've only got a couple of dummy ones. So now I know I'm a support or a service-based business. So if I'm offering that service, I can add it in. From an inventory standpoint, you can have all of your kind of products listed there. If you've got like any kind of codes that you track in the ERP, you can attach it here so you can see what's going into the sales funnel. Now, to try and update inventory, I could reproduce it in HubSpot by using properties to say, well, this product has a property which is 100 units, and then every time you sell one, you can use calculated properties to take it away, but it's real messy. I wouldn't do that. I would much rather integrate to an inventory management tool, which is built for that. And as you kind of, your sales team update the deals pipeline, you can push it back into an inventory management tool to say, well, this deal has 1, 2, 3 products, update my stock over here. Does, so this is the HubSpot marketplace. So if there was, that particular example of inventory, you can just do a quick search and find out what are the tools it recommends. So these are all the ones that for that particular search. If I wanted to kind of go through the filters here, I could try and find something that matches that. If I wanted to do the calling that we touched on earlier, it's got a bunch of tools for that. I mean, this is the one that we've got integrated with ours. Same for WhatsApp. When I talk about third-party providers, there are a bunch of them. And the actual integration to HubSpot is click and play. But to get into WhatsApp, that's why you need to have a approved partner to use one of these things. So there's a whole array of integrations. Easy to search, easy to find. And just if you might have it, I mean, accounting is another big one where HubSpot is not a finance tool. It doesn't do your invoicing and things like this. So you might want to integrate. One of the more common ones is like QuickBooks, or Xero is another big accounting one that people use. So we integrate that to HubSpot so you can keep track of your finance as well. Yeah? Please. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Tell you what. How's the best way to get it? I don't actually carry business cards anymore, do you know that? But the best way to get in touch with me is on my phone. You share my number. If you'd like to enter your number, I'll give you a quick ring so you've got me. Any other questions, guys? Mm-hmm.
You do the landing page.
Yep.
Is it on the WordPress side or is it on HubSpot, or how do you do it?
So if you've got a WordPress website, what you do is you connect your domain to HubSpot. So let's say you've got blah, blah, blah.com. When I build, thank you very much, I'll give you a quick, did you ring yourself or? Okay, great. So when you go into the landing pages, I'll show you. It's easier to understand. Your website still works on WordPress, no issue. The one thing you have to do to connect it so you can just build landing pages whenever you want, you connect your domain. So we've got a whole bunch of subdomains here, for example. Now, if I want to publish to the blog at Nexa, when I go into my landing page builder, here's the one that we built earlier. I just select the domain I want it to go onto. So this is our website, WordPress. I can just create what would be the /. So let's say I want /in5, publish it. Or if I wanted to have a dedicated subdomain, so let's say I'm using this subdomain of info. Which is not affecting my website, I just publish it there. So the only thing you have to actually do in the setup is connecting your domains. So like if you use GoDaddy or something like this, you go in there, create a record, and it's kind of within a couple of seconds you've got it connected. So you're not technically integrating WordPress. You don't need to. You just need to connect the domain. There is. You don't really need it though, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people use WooCommerce with WordPress for ecom. That plugin's very good. It pulls in all the sales instantly. Email, yeah, super easy. So if you use Gmail, 2 clicks, you've got it integrated. If you use Outlook, same thing. If you use Exchange, yeah, it's plug and play. All the common. The only one that's a bit tricky is Apple Mail, because Apple is difficult to integrate with anything because they've got all their privacy policies. But yeah, all these are very common. Sure.
The marketing section, campaigns have to be created within HubSpot.
No, yeah, you can create it in either place. Personal feeling is it's easier to create them in your AdWords and then just pull it into HubSpot, so you use it as a single kind of area of all your campaigns. But the creation, it's just a bit easier to do it on the actual platform directly. Nope. All you're doing, you're connecting your ad account. So if it's AdWords, you connect your ad account and it'll pull all your campaigns into HubSpot. You don't need to have separate UTMs or anything like that. Yeah, yeah. It's anonymous. Yeah, now all you just like you would naturally, you get impressions, clicks, views, that kind of stuff, because you don't know who they are. The minute they fill the form, then it changes. Yeah.
That image where you had all the SEO kind of mapping.
Yep.
Where did the questions?
Good question. So I'll go to where you're referring. So this section here, yeah? So it doesn't tell you the keyword. It just, you have to keep track of your map like this. Now, one of the tips that I give out all the time, and I think it's awesome, there's a website called Answer the Public, which does exactly what you want it to do. So let's say you do websites. You can play around with the country that you want to find the questions. But what this does, it shoots them all out for you. So based on what people are searching in that country, you can plug in keywords and it will tell you all of the things that people are searching. I would then take that over into HubSpot, replicate it. No, it doesn't do what this tool does. I mean, this is a free tool. There's a limitation to how many you can do per day, but it's pretty good. We use it regularly. Answer the Public. Yeah, sure. It's a good tool. Yeah, sure. Anything else, guys? Anything else you'd want to know? Anything else you'd like to know? Yep. So I've got a QR for it here, but basically HubSpot has HubSpot for Startups. They offer people who are part of incubators discounts. So, you know, any startup can get up to kind of 30 to 90%, but in 5 of a 90% discount on the system. So you literally just have to come to the link and then go through the steps. Yeah, I mean, again, it's all publicly available, HubSpot pricing. So it's broken down from marketing to sales to customer service, or you can bundle them and get them all together. So I mean, for face value for like their professional marketing is $800 a month. Obviously, to get a 90% discount, it's much, much cheaper. which is quite attractive. Unbelievable how much you can do for free. Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, the the big jump is when you want to start to, if you want to automate things, that's when the free doesn't do it. But if you want to track your database and send emails, and you want to keep track of your sales funnel, all that's in the free. Very good. Yeah, it is. Obviously, they do that because they know if you set your business up on it and you've got all that data in that one place, eventually, as you scale and grow, you'll want to do the next piece of the pie. Offer discounts to startups as well, because that's their stomping ground, right? Startups turn into corporates, and eventually they'll turn into that enterprise customer. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff available for free. What's the best time for it? You need the professional plan. So specifically, Marketing Professional gives you the workflow builder, which allows you to, as I kind of did that pricing page. Say again? Bundles, yes. So a bundle is just obviously all the licenses in one. Yeah, the kind of, if you are considering like sales and marketing, and then you're on that kind of point where you're not really sure about service, that's where the bundle makes sense. If you're just going sales and marketing, I would buy them individually. But if you want to kind of get the full suite, the bundle's awesome. A lot of people, like the website builder, the CMS, a lot of people have a website before they think about a CRM. So they don't really retrospectively think, oh, I'm going to get HubSpot CMS. And I didn't even show it today, but I mean, if you compare WordPress to HubSpot from a layman managing a website, HubSpot's all drag and drop. It's a lot more like a Wix.com, which Wix is not a great website platform because it doesn't give you a lot of scale. So HubSpot's kind of that middle ground to the ease of a Wix, but the functionality of a WordPress. In the starter, no, not in this one. You don't. Professional, if you want automation, yeah. It's a bit tricky when it comes to the users thing. So a lot of people have that thought process of software is user based. So in HubSpot, your service and professional is user based. So there's a limitation to how many people. You can have unlimited people having an account. So you have free users and you have paid users. So like if you get professional and you want automation in the sales funnel, you need to have a paid seat to do that. But you can still have 10 people for free updating records. Like that's not a problem. Where it comes to the marketing side, this one here, unlimited users, no issues. It's about the database size. Because as you get a bigger database, the more emails you send, that's more bandwidth on an email server. So it's about how many marketing contacts you have in your system. Again, you can have a huge database, you can have millions in there. And if you're not sending them emails, it doesn't matter. It's just that there's a threshold to, if you want to continually send emails to them, that's how it scales the license cost. Exactly. Yeah. And exactly. Yeah, no, you can have, I mean, I've got customers that have got like in the millions in their HubSpot account. They don't send millions of emails just because it's too much. Yeah, the support, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, they practice what they preach. Yeah. Yeah. The CRM, yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing. Like, just for keeping track of your sales, free one's perfect. And even once you start to do a bit of marketing, you get quite a lot of functionality in free as well.
So, the company Nexa, how important is HubSpot for it? Is that like business, or do you do a lot more things?
We do other things. Like we consider ourselves a growth agency, so we implement HubSpot, but we do have things like social media and SEO. We everything that you can do in here, we can also do as an outsourced agency. But I mean, that's usually for businesses that are at scale already, and they don't have the manpower to do it in-house. But yeah, we do all of that. But I mean, our business lives and dies on HubSpot as well. Like, as much as we implement it for clients, like everything I've been showing you, that's mine. That's what I do, like as a day-to-day when I'm talking to customers. Yep, Connect. Quite a common one is a lot of people have like Microsoft Dynamics as their database because they want like local storage, for example. Like all of the financial institutes need to have local storage of databases, so we just connect the two. So you still use, yeah. So that marketplace that I was showing you, you can just plug and play. Stuff like that, like there's no real technical requirements there. You can literally just say Dynamics, click, I want that field to go to this field, mapped. It's really easy. Yep. Yes. Yeah. No limit at all. It's only when you start to actually send communication to them, and like you can be quite crafty with it. A lot of the time we create words like hygiene workflows, we call them. So let's say you've got 2,000 contacts, right? But you've got 5,000 in your database. One of the workflows that we create straight away every single time is if you've got contacts that haven't engaged with your last 3 emails, we would automatically turn them into non-marketing contacts. There's no point sending someone who's not engaging with it. So it just keeps you underneath the threshold so you don't spend willy-nilly and you don't need to do it. Yeah. People, oh my, it drives me nuts. To be honest, it drives me absolutely nuts. So Monday is quite a cool tool. Their marketing is pretty nice as well. But Monday is a project management tool. That's what it is. It's not a CRM system. There's a lot of similarities, but it's not, I mean, HubSpot is not a project management tool, but I regularly implement project management in it just because there's a lot of similarities. Like, what is project management? It's managing a customer through a process of stages, just like a sales funnel. What do you do when you're managing a project? You've got certain tasks that you have to tick off and get done. There's task management in the CRM. So a lot of people kind of see that similarity, and people use Monday as a CRM, people use HubSpot as a project management tool, but they are different in certain nuances. I've got people that have both. As what, sorry? Yeah. Yeah, they do have nice marketing. Let's be real about it. Like their YouTube ads are pretty fantastic. Yeah, both are good systems. As much as I obviously am biased for HubSpot, I'm a realist as well. I mean, It's not the only tool out there in the market that can do this type of stuff. It's just that it's quite easy to manage and use. And the kind of visualization of some of the stuff they've done is quite nice. I mean, CRMs, what you got in the marketplace? You've got HubSpot, you've got Salesforce, you've got Zoho, and then you've got a lot of other random stuff, but that's the ones that often get compared. Salesforce is a very, very powerful tool, but visually, it's like working on Windows 98. That's what it's like. And it's very kind of tech-driven. Your IT teams love it, but then your marketeers hate it, just because it's not as nice. Whereas the Zoho has kind of come into the market as, they were an accounting software first. That's what they were. And then they dipped into CRMs, then they dipped into marketing. Whereas HubSpot came a different route. They came marketing into CRM, and they're all kind of in the same space now. But it's just getting the one that kind of matches your business first, or matches it best. But in terms of business type and using it, there's B2B, B2C, e-com. They can all be applied to it. I mean, the e-com one's quite interesting. It's plug and play with WordPress, with Shopify, so that if people are purchasing online, it pulls the basket in, shows the value of the basket, and then you can automate things like abandon cart, send emails. You can upsell products because you know what they bought last. If they bought, I was talking to a furniture business this week. Say again? It does, yeah. There's businesses out there that have kind of a combi. So let's say, in fact, the one I was about to tell you about this week, it was a furniture business. So furniture typically gets sold in a showroom. The Shakeside Road, there's a whole bunch of showrooms, right? But some of these have got e-com as well. But they want that single source of truth of, okay, what does the showroom do? What does the e-com do? Let's match up the communications. So now instead of using Shopify as automations, they pull it into HubSpot, and they can see, well, Sam bought this table, okay? He bought it in the showroom. We're tracking it. But now he's gone to the e-com and he's bought a set of chairs. And because we've got them both in the same place, we know he's got the full set. So potentially our next automation was, let's sell him a centerpiece or some cutlery or, whatever it may be. But because you get that combi, again, there's nothing wrong with using other tools. You can integrate stuff. But if you want it all in one space, that's where HubSpot's really kind of pitching itself to be. Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, I think OpenCart has one as well. These are the most common e-coms that you get. But yeah.
Any marketing?
No, it's yeah, like even Shopify is a free integration. Over here. Oh, this particular one's a paid one, but there will be free ones. Shopify, what's this one give you? Paid one. Yeah, so where I was showing that product catalog, it pulls it in straight away. When you've got an e-com like that, it does it straight away. So like, for example, shopping cart product gets pushed into the HubSpot product section. There you go, there's a free one. There's a whole bunch. This one is Shopify Sync with Ufix. It's as simple as if you go to the marketplace to search for Shopify, and like there's how many there? Four separate integrations that you can do. Just going through them, finding which one's the right fit for you. Yes, I would definitely do it. And again, you can do it on the free. So you don't even need to have a paid HubSpot. If your wife's got Shopify, I'd say get the free CRM, integrate Shopify, and all of a sudden she'll have visibility on her whole business. She can connect her Instagram, see it all matching up. Yeah. So when you go to the social media tool, they're connecting Facebook, because Instagram is Facebook, but here, this is where you see all the accounts you've got. If I actually want to connect the account, yeah, so you can connect Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. It can't do Snapchat and TikTok yet. We're hoping it can do it pretty soon. YouTube is Google, so you can connect Google. Yeah. Basically, every September, HubSpot has its annual event where they do all the product releases. So we're, fingers crossed, we get some Snapchat and TikTok very soon, just so we can get that full ecosystem.
How do you make money from this?
How do we make money as a Nexa? We set it up for people. We do onboarding. So businesses will come to us directly because they know us, or HubSpot, as I said, they're in Ireland, so they don't have someone here on the ground. A lot of people want local support, so they would then refer people to us and say, like, we've got this customer, wants to set up HubSpot, can you service them? So we set it up, train them, yeehaw, off you go and use it. Other people want us on a retainer. So as much as all of this stuff is awesome, if you don't have a marketing team, maybe you've got agencies, but as a business owner, you want someone who can help in the CRM. We offer that. We do trainings. There's lots of different revenue streams from it to help people set up. Branding is not something we do as an agency. No, we're not a branding agency. When we say growth agency, we're really in that digital marketing space. Branding specifically is quite specialized. You know, there's agencies that are creatively led, but to get your brand kind of nailed down, yeah, we've got partners that we use for that. Yeah. What is your business? Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean the SaaS world, stuff like this is awesome. I mean, the automations for SaaS products, you can really do it. I mean, if someone looks at a pricing page for software, they either buy it online or you need to kind of nurture them to the point. Things like demos are important. So a lot of your marketing comms would be request demos, trying to get someone to actually see the software, similar to what we do. You know, if we want to sell HubSpot, we would say, come get a demo. Well, we'll show you what it does. And then people would go away and buy it. Don't mind. Like, honestly, free, it is a pipeline. You start to use the free one and eventually you'll scale and you'll come. That's the cycle of it, right? Yeah. I mean, okay, fine. You don't want a lot of free users, but if you know, as a business, if you don't have the investment to go to a paid one, then it's fine. You know, work away by yourself. Exactly right. Like, we do sessions like this because we want to educate people on HubSpot, and ultimately one day they'll come to us as an agent. I'm not here pitching Nexa because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to help people use HubSpot. And then eventually you might get to that stage, well, you know, I remember Sam that one time. Yeah. Awesome, guys. So I think we're kind of done for today. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks for the questions. Go and get the free one. Try it out. See what you think.